Welcome to Vin and Mike, episode 31. How are you, Mike?
What's going on, Vin? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Another beautiful day here in the New York area. A little hot today, but that's okay. We get that all the time. So, what else going on? Anything?
What can I say? We'll talk about it a little later. We got to talk about our Yankees, our Mets. Yeah. Crazy stuff going on with Durant. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah. And we have a great guest that we're going to start with, but let me read our little commercial here and then bring her in. So Vin and Mike is now brought to you by Viggy Bets. Check out Viggy Bets on Twitter and Instagram at Viggy Bets. If you DM Viggy Bets right now that you're a fan of Vin and Mike, you receive a 14-day free trial with a new VIP membership. So Viggy Bets, he'll be with us next week while you're on vacation. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he'll do a good job. I hope.
Well, he's a good guy, and we like him a lot. But let's bring in our special guest. We're excited to have her with us. She is the track president of Richmond Raceway, Lori Waran. Lori, how are you?
I'm great. That was a very enthusiastic welcome. You guys are jamming on here this Tuesday.
If you were tired, that definitely woke you up, that introduction.
No doubt. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we try to get our audience engaged right away and have some fun, and we open the chat for them so they can chat away, and we're live on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook, and we're also out at KKFI in Kansas City. So there's a bunch that goes on as we talk with you today and really dig into Richmond Raceway. Really exciting this week. You have the Worldwide Express 250, the Camping World Trucks on Friday, and then of course the big Federated Auto Parts 400, which is Sunday. The Cup Series. So I know a lot of events that lead up to the weekend. Can you tell us a little bit what's going on in Richmond this week leading up to those races?
Right. You're exactly right. And actually the Worldwide Express 250 is on Saturday night. So I don't want people showing up on Friday night. We're not going to be ready for them Friday night. Don't come too early. But we've got a lot of actual events within events that are coming up. But we actually I was just right before I jumped on with you guys, I was just greeting our campers that are moving in. They started moving in around 3:00 today. That's always an exciting time. They're a lively bunch. They're a very loyal bunch. And most of them have been coming here for years, longer than the two of you have been on this earth in many cases. So they're fun, and they're going to be here all week. Tomorrow we've got a great event called Track Laps for Charity. And it's where, people who, if you want to come and drive on the racetrack, if you've ever wanted to, now's your chance, or tomorrow's your chance. You can do that for $20. You get 5 laps around a track. And it benefits Special Olympics. So it's for a great cause. It's a really cool event, actually. And we've had a lot of people sign up for that in the past and again this year. On Thursday, we've got this really pretty cool event as well. Bubba Wallace's block party, a good old fashioned block party.
Nice.
Fun.
Very cool. And we've got some pretty special guests. If Bubba wasn't enough for you, which for most race fans, Bubba is, but Wale is coming to perform. And it's already, sold out. It's a free event, but you had to register, and it's already jam packed. We've got some great food trucks and music that's going to happen that night. And then we've got some family events as well on Friday night, family movie night, Toyota family movie night, where of course we're going to play Cars for the movie. So we've got some great activities coming up leading up to the raceway.
That's great. Right. Lori, congrats again on the recent position. I was reading in the 76-year track history, you're the 4th president and the first female president. So that's a huge congratulations. But I want to circle back. I know you have a lot of ties to Virginia roots, and just want to hear kind of about your upbringing and how you really got into the NASCAR scene.
Yeah. I mean, there has been only 4 presidents. It's kind of remarkable in that history that there's been so few. That just kind of shows the loyalty of the people that have been here. But you're right. I do. I have a kind of unique history with the track. My grandfather and grandmother lived just a couple blocks away, and my grandfather would come here and park cars because he couldn't always afford to come and watch a race. And so he parked cars here to be able to do that. And we were really close, and he would get me to come and tag along and help him, park cars when I was 3 and 4 years old. I was absolutely no help, but I would, piggyback on his shoulders and, help him. And that was my sort of foray into racing. It was, I didn't really understand what was going on, but you certainly could hear the cars, you could smell the rubber, and you could, feel all the feels at the racetrack and the sense of community back then. And plus it was just a really cool, special time with my grandfather. So that was my first memory. And I kind of took a little break because teenagers do teenager things, and, you're too cool for school. And then I met my husband, started dating him, and he was the one who really got me into racing. He was an uber NASCAR fan, and his family was very into it, and he taught me the ins and outs of the sport when we were dating. They would do the Daytona parties, and they would go to this little restaurant called Brittany's that served 10-cent wings for the NASCAR races, and I really embraced the sport with him. We even, for our wedding, I surprised him with a Dale Earnhardt wedding garter. When he, when the big reveal comes for the wedding garter, and it's Dale Earnhardt, number 3 standing there. So we really got deep in NASCAR for it.
He probably didn't want to give that away to the bachelors.
No, he didn't. He didn't want to fling it anywhere. In fact, I do actually still have it in my office. He did go and get it back. So he was like, "Yeah, give it back." So I think that's a little bit of my history with NASCAR.
Yeah,
that's great. One of the big things that I've seen over the last few years is a little influx of younger female drivers, especially on Saturday night. Haley Deegan, who's really becoming really popular in the sport and everything. Can you tell us what you've seen as far as the female influx of drivers from your point of view?
Yeah, no, I think that's you're exactly right. There has been, and social media has really expounded upon that. I think the popularity has really risen because when you see it, you can be it. That sort of mentality. So when people started seeing Danica a few years ago, and the world of social media allowed us to really be introduced to her, even if young girls didn't realize that they could really be a part of the world of racing. Social media opened their eyes to that, and so now it's exponential how many have kind of jumped into the world of motorsports, and that I think that's great.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Lori, I know now as president, there's so many responsibilities and big race coming up. So can you tell our audience as far as your objectives and what's most important to you to really get fans to the track and get media engaged? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's not a secret that I did not come from the world of sports. I actually came from, the world of media and marketing. When NASCAR reached out a few months back, my connection to NASCAR was actually a childhood friend. Tim Clark is the chief digital officer at NASCAR. We go back to first grade, actually, way back then. But he reached out and said, "Hey, we've got some changes that we're going to be making, and we've got some ideas that we have for the Richmond Raceway, and we've been watching what you've been doing with the media and your role, your career over the past 20 years, and how you've sort of taken businesses and that may not have been doing really well and sort of turned them around and introduced events to those businesses and really engaged new audiences. And that's what we want, someone to do at the Richmond racetrack. And so media, as you guys know, being in media, it's all about, retaining current, audiences, the loyal people that have been watching with you and staying with you, and then engaging new audiences. And, sports is very similar. sports industry wants to retain those loyal fans.
Absolutely.
And they want to reach out to new fans. And so Tim, when NASCAR and Tim reached out, they said, what you've been doing is exactly what we want. It's just a different industry. So, that's what I've been tasked to do here is reach out to new fans, but also make sure we maintain, the fans that we've had and who've been so tried and true and loyal to us. So I've got some ideas it's a long-winded way to answer your question, but
absolutely makes sense.
I've got a lot of ideas. I've got a notebook sitting over here that I've been
I'm sure
jotting down things left and right, but I promised myself that I wouldn't share a lot of those ideas until I got through the race weekend, because
makes sense.
The team that's been here for many years and many months working very hard on this upcoming race, they have a lot of institutional knowledge, and I want to see what comes of their great ideas and all the hard work that they've put in before I start implementing change. I don't think that serves anyone to do that. Over my 20 some odd year career, one of the things that I know I didn't do well at the beginning was, as a leader, come in and I wanted to impact change. I thought that was what you were supposed to do as a young leader, coming in and just take quick action. And now I know that that's not as important. It's important to be pragmatic and be smart and be effective. And, sometimes that means you have to sit back and listen a little bit and do a listening tour. And so that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah. When we started the podcast, Mike had a notebook of ideas that he shared with me, and I took it and just threw it away because, we needed to start fresh.
I'm gonna get you for that later, Vinny.
Okay. How'd that work out for you guys?
We're doing good. See?
I love it. You're on a roll.
There you go.
So I see Chase Young from the Washington Commanders is going to be the honorary pace car driver. How did that come about? Getting Chase Young to be part of the events this weekend?
No, I just called him up and bribed him.
That's it.
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, we've got a great team working here. We've been working really hard to sort of do engage new audiences, like I was talking about. We want to sort of be more cross promotional with sports. They've got a great fan base, and so do we. And we want to have some more synergy with the Washington Commanders right up the street. I think that's a great audience for us, and I think that I thought that would be a great fit. I think he's going to be out for a little bit. He had some time, so I said, "Come on." Yeah.
With that being in Richmond and that Washington fan base, do you get a lot of requests to meet Coach Gibbs or to anyone wanting to be part of JGR this weekend?
We've had a lot of requests, but we've been mindful to be wise about those requests. I'll leave it at that.
I love it.
I was just going to ask you. I know you talked about your grandfather. What other mentors did you have growing up? Whether from a sports perspective, who else did you look up to for that? Maybe even in media.
My father was a high school football coach.
Okay.
He in this area, and so we really couldn't go anywhere around here without running into one of his students or his football players along the way. In fact, until a few years ago, that was still the case. Even up the track here now, I'm still seeing a lot of his former students. His leadership on the field, and sometimes off, a lot of times off, was pretty impactful. My mother was one of the first high school principals around here that was a female. And so when you have, two very strong personalities in your household, that certainly helps guide and form the person you're going to become. I think early on, that's certainly it. But as far as mentors go, just in the business world, there's been a number of them. In media, I've had a number of really strong females, but also just male leadership that has been very impactful in my life. And I think that there are too many to name right now, but it's, I would say that there's just been so many. I probably couldn't even name them right now.
Okay.
I know you said, your husband introduced you more into NASCAR and into being a fan. Is there anyone in particular that you guys rooted for back then, or is there anybody besides Dale Earnhardt, for you that maybe you gravitated more towards?
Well, I said I wasn't going to answer this, but I ended up telling someone yesterday in the media day that we had here. Tony Stewart. I wore the orange. I wore the orange a lot when I was younger. I love a fiery personality. I think that's fun when you witness that, on and off the track. I think it brings a lot to the sport. I love any kind of passion in a player, no matter if it's NASCAR or if it's football or anywhere. I think that that just shows the dedication and loyalty and the commitment that you have to anything. And so I loved watching Tony. So I said I wasn't going to say it. Now I'm saying it. So I'm being broken down already. But you guys get me. But yeah, I think it was Tony. I wore a lot of orange.
Well, he's a good owner. Stewart Haas is a big team. They're coming off a big win last week. They got some momentum coming in this week. And talking about the owners and the change in NASCAR, with Michael Jordan now being part of it, and then LeBron James was sponsoring a car last week. Do you see that being something that's going to continue for NASCAR moving forward?
I hope so. I think that anytime you can bring a little bit of star Hollywood power, that helps. It engages new audiences. I hate to keep saying I feel like a broken record, but when you bring the jump man in there, it certainly helps. When you can throw Michael Jordan's name around, and when you bring in LeBron and he sends a tweet out to about NASCAR, that carries weight with a whole new audience that may not even be aware that there's a race happening nearly every weekend. I have two sons. I have a 21-year-old that goes to Virginia Tech. He's a senior there. And then I have a 16-year-old son who's just about to get his license. And the way in which they have engaged in NASCAR, not just because I'm a part of it, but because of the people that are now owners, Pitbull and, LeBron throwing his name into the ring and Michael Jordan. It's nice to see that. And now all of a sudden with the Chicago street race coming up and that announcement, they are, their eyes are sort of starry eyed thinking about the new opportunities and what they get to see, because it's speaking to them. It's, as kids who, used to love Xbox and played the video games with street races, now they're seeing that sort of vision come to life, and they're hearing names that they know and are familiar with. I think that connectivity is really going to reach out to new audiences. I think it's always helpful.
Yeah, it's exciting for a younger fan base also.
Yeah.
I know my kids, seeing Pitbull as part of Trackhouse and all that, they enjoy watching the races every weekend. And I tell you, a big thing for me, and Mike will tell you, is I like to dabble in the DraftKings fantasy with NASCAR every weekend. I play all three series all the time, and hope that my drivers I pick come out and win me a few dollars every week. So that's also part of it for me, and I think for a younger audience that's enjoying that as well. Where you're able to do that now. Years ago you weren't able to do any of that, but now almost every state you're able to do some sort of fantasy, and then with the sports betting on top of it.
Yeah, what's also awesome what's also awesome about that is with the DraftKings that you could share that as well. So you could share it to Instagram and then, hashtag NASCAR. So it gets out there. So you just keep building your base, as you talked about, Lori. It just keeps going.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you guys have drivers? You made me come clean about my past driver that, I like. So who do you guys like?
So since a northeastern kind of person from New York,
I couldn't tell.
I go, I lean a little towards Martin Truex because he's from New Jersey.
Okay. All right. Well, this is his track. They say, Richmond is where he's won a number of times the past few years.
Mike, you don't know. He's a lot older than he looks. He watched Richard Petty in 1967.
No, I've been dabbling. I've been watching a little bit, so maybe I'm a front runner, but Chase Elliott, I've been watching a little bit. So yeah, Vinny, you don't know everything, okay? Big Al.
My son is a big Kevin Harvick fan, which is amazing, and my daughter actually is a Chase Elliott.
Okay. Well, there are a lot of Chase Elliott fans here in Richmond. Obviously, if your son, you said, is a Kevin Harvick, then she was happy this past weekend, or he was happy this past weekend. So that's great. And Martin Truex Jr.'s done really well in Richmond. I think 3 wins in the last maybe 5 years here. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it's been. So, this weekend people are saying this might be his weekend.
He needs it. That playoff race is very, very tight, and I think you're going to need another win to get in for him because these other guys, Blaney's way ahead of him in points, and it's with Harvick winning, it's gotten crazy with this whole playoff push.
It really has.
And the exciting thing for you is Saturday night with Camping World is the playoffs. The people that don't know that the Truck Series is already in the playoffs, and the round of 8 will come together after this race. So that's exciting on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, we're fortunate that we've gotten to do this now, I think the second year. And so it's going to be a great race. I think the weather's going to cooperate here. It's going to be beautiful. Everyone was very concerned about it being very hot, and it's not going to be hot. It's hot today. It's 105 degrees out there today. But this weekend is going to be mid to low 80s and dry and not humid. It's going to be beautiful. In fact, some of the weather forecasters are saying that for the Saturday night race, you're going to want to bring some long sleeves. So it's going to be great to watch some great competition, and in the playoffs and that truck race. It's exciting to watch. I mean, that's some hardcore racing, and those guys, they don't play around.
No, especially this weekend. You want to make that top 8. They're gonna be hustling and pushing and all that fun stuff that comes along with racing. So be great.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, the Worldwide Express 250 is Saturday night, and the Federated Auto Parts 400 is Sunday afternoon cup racing. Lori, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Good luck in your presidency there at Richmond. Maybe me and Michael try to come down next year when more things are going on, and have some fun at Richmond ourselves.
Yeah. That'd be great. I'd love to have you guys. It's a great time. It's a great
Absolutely. Time. Thank you again. Good luck this weekend. Take care.
Take care, Lori.
Bye-bye.
That was great.
That was Lori Waran.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vic. While she was talking, there's the storm. I thought I was going to lose power, and I may still live because there is a really bad storm outside right now. My dog's freaking barking. This is live. This is live, everybody. So. Did you hear that? It was like thunder and lightning. I'm like, I really hope I don't lose power here while I'm doing this.
I'd have been like, well, I don't know where Mike went. I think he quit after my comment about tearing up his notebook.
Yeah, tearing up my notebook with my ideas.
I didn't know you were a Chase Elliott fan.
I watch once in a blue moon. So.
Oh, okay. He is definitely a front runner. He's like the most popular racer.
Exactly. That's what I said.
I'm talking about DraftKings. We were mentioning it, but DraftKings changed the fantasy game forever in 2012. Now, 10 years later, they're doing it again with Rainmakers Football, the first ever NFT fantasy game. A new way to enjoy daily fantasy football, a new shot to win millions in prizes, and the only NFT fantasy game licensed by the NFLPA. I know right now on DraftKings, Mike, they're selling NFT packs like crazy, so you can buy your packs. You can use those players and packs for these Rainmakers football contests. Pretty different way of playing. You're investing in an NFT, and then you're using those NFTs to win prizes, which is, I mean, these NFTs are big. They're making the Vin and Mike NFTs soon, I hear. So buy, sell, bid, and win player cards of the biggest names in the game through regular drops and auctions. Build your collection of football stars and enter free Rainmaker football contests all season long to compete for millions in jaw-dropping prizes. The next generation of fantasy sports is almost here. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now and sign up with promo code TPPN. Click the Rainmakers tile and opt in so you can be ready for the next drop. Play free for millions in prizes all football season and build the ultimate NFT fantasy franchise with Rainmakers Football. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. So, like I said, last week I got my Tom Brady NFT. I got that over a year ago.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited.
You said it like doubled, right? The price?
It did, supposedly. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I bought it for $25 and I saw it about $40 to $45 on the secondary market right now. I gotta get some of these packs and get some real players and play in some of these Rainmaker contests. Talking about contests, the Vin and Mike podcast has our own fantasy football contest every week on DraftKings. It's $5. So if you go on regular DraftKings now, go to the leagues, look up Vin and Mike, and you'll be able to play with against us basically all season long. $5 entry, so cheap entry. You don't have to play every week. You can play, a couple of weeks. You can play as much as you want. We're paying out the top 20 people every week. I looked at it last night. If you finish first or second, you basically have your entry fees for all season if you want. So it's a lot of fun. Something else to do with Vin and Mike, and we also have our pool there on DraftKings. So go to the pools. You go to the leagues, Vin and Mike, and you can enter our suicide, our survivor pool. So we got it all, Mike.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
Yeah, including tomorrow, where we have our man from Spies on the Sidelines tomorrow.
Yes, big show tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk about that book.
Yeah, we'll have that tomorrow for everybody that's watching us live. So tune in tomorrow as well. But our good audience gets the reminders and everything, and we have a really good audience. I have to admit, we get a lot of good feedback. We have some fans out there in KKFI that reach out to us every week after the show. So really appreciative of all that as well. But let's dive into our Yankees and our Mets and talk about something quite interesting, when I was thinking about it today. So both teams, as we record right now on a Tuesday evening, so when people listen to this later, they don't freak out. But they're both 71 and 39. But it feels different, right? It feels like a different 71 and 39 for each team. Like for the Mets, 71 and 39 makes you feel like, wow, man, we're rolling. We're ready to roll into October. We're going to take on the Dodgers and have a good shot with Scherzer and DeGrom here. Yankees 71 and 39 right now is making you feel like, man, the Astros are going to beat us. It's just not feeling good. Cole's not looking good. Stanton's still hurt. Carpenter just broke his foot. It's a different feel of 71 and 39. Mike, what are you thinking?
Oh yeah, I mean they're going in different directions. I mean, just watching the Mets recently. I mean they're an exciting team to watch. And I was talking to Matt about this the other day, Matt Carl. right now, I mean, Scherzer and DeGrom have been, I mean, off the charts, right? And then you have Diaz coming in as a closer, but you also have incredible hitting 1 through 9. It's just like even the latter part of that lineup, they're playing extremely smart baseball, the Mets, aggressive base running, and they're just having a lot of fun. That Braves series was huge. It was a huge momentum shift for the Mets. They knew they had to win the series. Not only did they win, they took 4 out of 5, and then they won against Cincinnati. And I think our media is taking a different stance now, where the Yankees were always the top team and the Mets kind of took the bottom, right? And after that series, I think it took a different direction, where now our media is saying, you know what? Look at these Mets. If Scherzer and DeGrom stay healthy and they continue to hit like this, and you look at a 7-game series, I don't think there's teams that are beating the Mets right now. On the other side with the Yankees, you have a lot of injuries. And I'll tell you, Vinny, that Montgomery trade was recent, but it's kind of too early to tell, but it's had some significant impact right now. And I know, and then, it's just their pitching's been off. And Aaron Judge is, again, like someone mentioned to me, without Aaron Judge, this team would be a totally different team, probably lose another, maybe 10 or 15 games down. He's been a huge factor. But as we've always talked about in sports, one person can't make a difference. You need a huge team effort, right? And yes, they won against Seattle last night, but since June, after the All-Star break, actually, they've been right below 500. So if you're gonna beat the Astros and you're gonna make a significant playoff run, you have to have consistency of pitching and hitting, and that's where these two teams are right now. So not that the Yankees can't turn around. I mean, they were fantastic at one point, but they gotta get back to that.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing about baseball, and it's always how it is. It's very streaky one way or the other. It's very hard to be the 1998 Yankees every year, where you win 114 games and just look like the most dominant team in baseball, and it looks very easy. And that's just the 1 year, and you forget about how streaky baseball can be and how streaky hitting is in baseball. The one thing I always tell everyone is, when you're a great Major League Hall of Fame hitter,
right,
you fail 70% of the time. So it's just that part of streakiness and the whole thing in baseball. And you hope that the streak that the Yankees are on now is now, and it doesn't linger into September and into October. And I think you make a good point, where Judge really is got the team on his back right now, and I think that's where they miss Stanton, and they miss Rizzo, and they need Cole to be better, and they need a healthy Severino coming back in September. I don't want to throw too much on Montez after the first start, because he had some personal stuff going on. He arrived on the team. It was his first start. So I'll give him some time. I don't want to jump on that bandwagon too quick. And like you said, I don't want to get too crazy about the Montgomery trade right now. Let's see a few more stuff.
See how it plays out.
Let's see how Bader comes back in September. We got to let it all play out. We're very now, when it comes to being a New York sports fan, we know that. So we're all really angry about the Yankees. I think last night's win settles it down. For some reason, the Yankees seem to win the day before we start the show, because I don't think they want me to come on here and give my Joey Gallo rants.
I know.
I was ready to give a good Aaron Hicks one. Of course, he goes 3 for 3 the other night, and I can't do that now.
No,
but we miss our Joey Gallo rants and all that stuff.
I do miss that. I do miss that a lot.
Yeah, but as far as the Mets, I was super impressed with the way they played against the Braves. Super, super impressed how good DeGrom looked in his second start back. He had 102 miles on the gun on one pitch. His slider was on point. He carried a perfect game into the 6th inning. He was just really, really on point. And I had a conversation with my brother before we came on the air, and he says, when you have two pitchers like that, that you're not going to go on any kind of extended losing streak because you don't expect them to lose back-to-back games, either one of them, right? So if one of them loses, you expect the other to win, or vice versa. It's hard for them to both lose back-to-back starts, or the team to lose back-to-back starts with them starting, and then adding some of the additions they did with Vogelbach and Ruff to help the the designated hitter, and extend everything a little bit. And yeah, Naquin he's been good as an extra outfielder.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, and then Marte and Lindor, and I think these are the things we talked about for the Mets. They needed a few extra bats, and they got it. And you can see how it's playing out for them. They look phenomenal, like you said, against the Braves. Scherzer and DeGrom right now are healthy, and that's the big thing.
Well, that's what I was going to say with DeGrom, that they were saying that coming off an injury, they were like we'd be happy he's at 80-85%. They thought he's not going to be at 100%. He's like at 105%.
I know
the way he's throwing that slider.
I know.
I mean, he is a force.
He's 102.
This team has been phenomenal. And I think hands down, Buck Showalter wins Manager of the Year, because what he's done with this team and the transformation, I think, is just incredible. I truly do.
I know Buck is your guy.
He's my guy. I've always been always.
He's gonna have to prove it to me, like I said, once October comes around.
He will.
Hopefully he remembers Edwin Diaz is in his bullpen and actually uses them.
I've been so impressed with Buck, a people's manager. He's been fantastic. That other night with the suicide bunt, perfectly placed, perfectly called, and just this team is just—they're all. Keith Hernandez said as announcer, like it's like 80s baseball. It's just like the aggressive base running. They're all high-fiving each other. They're just having so much fun every night. And it was like the Yankees, what they were doing before the All-Star break. It's like they wanted to win every game. Not that the Yankees don't want to win it, but you know what I'm saying with the mentality. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing I always liked about Buck and is his attention to detail. He's always making sure that every little thing is looked at. You could see him taking notes in his little notebook there on, in the dugout. He's paying attention to all those little things that go along. They use analytics, not overly analytical, just the right way of doing it. And he's done a good job right now of managing the bullpen. I think Aaron Boone is not done a good job managing bullpens. I think that's always the big stickler for managers is how do you manage your bullpen when you move guys in and out of your bullpen. I thought Joe Torre was phenomenal when he did that in the Yankees run in the 90s there. I thought Davey Johnson, how he managed Jesse Orosco and Roger McDowell in the 80s was always magical. I thought those were the things, when you look at these championship teams from the Kansas City Royals over the years and the Red Sox and the Cardinals and the Dodgers, and, you can go down the list of all these teams and how they manage the bullpens when it counts the most in October is going to be the big thing. And that's going to be the thing for all these teams going into October, especially the Yankees and the Mets. And I hope Boone gets better at it, and we'll see how good Buck will be at it, come October. But yeah, it's been exciting, But I just want to go back a little bit. I think this Matt Carpenter injury is big. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. He's got a broken foot. He fouled the ball off his foot, late last night. I don't know where they go. You can't make trades now, right? Now you can't make trades. You could pick guys off of the waiver wire and all this, but I'd rather see them bring up. I know maybe there's not a lefty bat down there that excites you. I don't know if Estevan Florial excites you, but I think Andahar should get that shot and come back up and have an opportunity to play a little bit more. What are you thinking about, Andahar or maybe Peraza? I know everyone's talking about Peraza, but at least I want to see a guy that's played Major League Baseball, hit Major League pitching, hit a lot of home runs at the Major League level. I think Andahar is that guy.
Yeah, I was thinking, you're going to laugh at me, but I was thinking Peraza to give him a shot. I was.
Okay.
Now's the time, I think. I really do.
I mean,
Why not?
people are calling for him. They think he's the guy to take over, similar to when Tony Fernandez got hurt and Jeter came up in '95 and finally got that shot, and a little different way of getting the shots. But maybe it's the time to take the chance. I don't know. I don't know if they don't want him to come up because they want him to still play every day.
Right.
In AAA, and they don't want to just put
I don't
him
know.
up.
This would be a good time. This would be a good time.
Yeah. I think the fans are going to start putting the pressure here on Cashman. You know, the Yankees and Mets do pay attention to the media. They do pay attention to their fan bases. You've seen it over the years. So kind of interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. For sure.
I want to flip the switch. I want to head to Brooklyn, New York. And I want to hear, I know you're going to have a lot of thoughts on this, and I want to turn it right to you. KD, Joe Tsai basically backing his coach and his GM, and KD supposedly went to ownership and Joe Tsai and said, you got to choose between me and the coach and the GM. So Joe Tsai basically said, I'm supportive of my staff, and that's the way we're moving forward. So what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm on side. I take his side. I mean, you gotta support your coach and staff. That's who you hire to run this organization, run this team. We talked about this earlier in some of our earlier shows, just what these players are doing. It was one, you had the whole Kyrie thing, and now you have this. It just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good for his legacy. I just don't like this whole mentality where players are like, you do this or else I'm going to do this. It's not like, it's just like, just play the game, right? It's, you could totally think in your head, I want to be traded to a certain organization that's going to be better than me. But when you make it public like this, and this is why social media over the years has hurt a lot of players, because now everybody sees that, right? So what Brooklyn Nets fan, all right, to me, even I don't care how good Kevin Durant is, and I'm not taking away he's a great player, but if he does end up staying there, how can you get behind him after that? I couldn't. I really couldn't. Because to me, it's like you're not proud of this franchise and what they're trying to do, and it's not like he's been there forever. He recently just got there. I just want players to start, and I said this and I'll say it again. That's why I have the utmost respect for Steph Curry. Steph Curry stayed on a team that won 15 games. They were not in good shape, but he stuck it out and he stayed with the organization. He may have been thinking that. He may have been thinking at that time, you know what? But that's a management decision. That's something that I really don't have control of, but I know in my heart that I'm going to keep playing 110%. That's how I look at it. This does not make him look good. And you don't want a disgruntled player here. You don't want a disgruntled player. So Sai already said, I am looking out for Steve Kerr management, and I will take his word that he's going to stick with that. So now if they can't make a trade for him, what are we going to have here? Just someone sitting on the bench? Are we going to have someone who is like a Ben Simmons in Philadelphia? And I know that was more, I'll never dismay that was mental health, but now, have someone like that who's so unhappy, he doesn't want to play. I mean, what are we going to have here?
I also like to, what is like someone like Kyrie thinking, or someone like Ben Simmons that's there in Brooklyn, how are they feeling about, KD and like you said, are they going to want to play with him moving forward? That's another thing. And then again, I don't know what the relationship is with KD and Kyrie. I don't know what that relationship's like. It seems like it's been a little strained ever since the whole vaccine issue with Kyrie. I know Durant did not have any good feelings towards Harden towards the end. The whole all-star draft. He refused to draft them, and you know, on his team. That whole thing that went on. So, but again, is it them or is it him now? Right. So that's the thing you start thinking about, because it's a guy that is making demands that the coach and the GM get fired. And what does he want to bring in his own coach and his own GM and have them pick and choose players that he wants to play with, and a coach that's going to let him do whatever he wants on the court? I mean, what is this turning into? You know, is it turning into the Brooklyn Durants? I mean, it's
that's what I'm saying to you.
It's getting a little crazy.
He is not an owner. He is not the coach. He is a player. And you should always, again, put in 110% until those decisions are made. But you're right, Vinny. It's like, is it Durant's team now? He calls the shots. It's just, even with the whole team right now, it's not just Simmons and Kyrie. It's the whole Nets organization. What are they thinking? How are you going to get this team? How are you going to get the chemistry on this team for this season? If you're an owner right now, what do you do to get this team going? Because right now it's like it's a circus. It's a circus.
I don't know. All of a sudden the Knicks are looking good. I mean, all of a sudden we're okay with Jalen Brunson, right?
I'll talk about that for a second, because I want to mention that people were asking me like how I felt about that, the Jalen Brunson thing, and I'm okay with it if they could get, if they got like a Donovan Mitchell to be alongside of Jalen Brunson. I will say this again, that Jalen Brunson is a great player, but he's not an A player. Does he have a potential to be? There's potential, but the Knicks are missing that A player, right? So if you get someone like a Donovan Mitchell or someone of his stature to play with him, then you have that combo. And then what do you do with Julius Randle? Well, then you keep Julius Randle at that point, because then he won't have the pressure that he's had in New York. He could be that BB plus player and play complementary to them. So they have to make this happen. And time will tell, but that's what the Knicks are missing. 100%. I
don't know. I mean, does Utah want to make this trade?
It seemed like it was very talked about, and then it got very quiet.
Or they're not making this trade because of what they're asking, because of what they got for Rudy Gobert.
I think that has a lot to do with it, Vinny.
Yeah. I mean, they said, well, we got 4 first-round picks for Gobert. You're going to have to give us 6 for Mitchell.
Well, Danny Ainge wants it all.
and you got to throw in, Quickly or RJ Barrett or both.
Right.
I mean, that's what I think it came down to. And then I think the Knicks are okay probably giving up the first-round picks. I don't think they want to give up the players on top of the picks. And if they have to give up a player, they want to give up less first-round picks. No. And at that point, I don't blame Knicks front office. I don't think you need to give up everything for Donovan Mitchell. He's not, that kind of superstar. He's good. He would be great for what the Knicks need, but he's not that. He's not Giannis. He's not,
You're not going to get that, though.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to get that.
But that's what if you're going to trade 6 first-round picks, that's what you expect to get back, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think time will tell here. The Nets are in a really good position because he just signed a 4-year deal. They have him on the contract. They don't need to trade him. He's going to, they can force him to play. He might sit out. Then they don't pay him. And then there's fines and then all this other stuff. And they might be like, whatever, just sit and rot. We don't care at this point. He's putting himself in a pretty, interesting predicament. I think ultimately the Nets will try to trade him, knowing that they can get really big value for him, and there'll be somebody out there that's going to, eventually give that kind of value.
I think that has to be the move, Vinny, because you don't want to, before the season starts with all these demands, you don't want to have a disgruntled player to start your season. And already with the comments that he made about the coaching staff that it's going to be trouble. It's going to be an uncomfortable trouble, right?
Yeah.
So I think you do try to trade him, try to get as much value as you can, the right mix of players to come play with these guys and get this Nets organization going, because he's not the answer. He does not want to be here. Period.
No, you're right. You're right. He doesn't want to be here. And eventually he'll be out of here. I mean, it's a matter of time. It's just how long is it going to be?
Right.
Is it going to be all season? Is it going to be before the season starts? Is it going to be in-season trade? I mean, there's a lot of factors here, and I think the Nets should stick to their guns and get what they want for him, and not worry about him wanting to be traded. So that's the way I look at it. I want to ask you about your Jets. I know you went to what was that? Green, white, green. What was that?
White, green scrimmage.
White, green,
green, white, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Green and white scrimmage. Tell our audience a little bit about that and what you saw.
Yeah, sure. So it was
funny. I think more in particular, Zach Wilson.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure. My best friend, who I've known 35 years, his father got tickets. I thought it was just going to be.
Did you see Richard Petty with him back in '67?
Richard Petty. Okay. Good one, Vinny.
Go ahead.
He's got a big mouth today, ladies and gentlemen. Big mouth, this guy.
Today.
I got to put up with him every week. Thank you. Yeah. So
64 days a year.
I really thought that it was going to be one of those scrimmages at Florent Park, which would have been great. I never did that either. Then I find out that week that it's actually at the Meadowlands, and it's a green, white scrimmage. So we parked, and it just was a great feeling walking out of that car, seeing MetLife Stadium, just seeing that football was back, and they had live music outside, and it was just a really cool vibe. And, this is a Jets team that we talk, as Vinny's comparison with the Knicks, the draft, that's how I look at the Jets a lot, that their draft picks over the years have not been fantastic by any means. And this year, I think they did an excellent job. I think everything was, hit the nail on the head as far as their draft picks. Zach Wilson looked really sharp. His agility, I thought, was great. And what I was really impressed with was Garrett Wilson. Vinny, you talked about him a little bit. Sauce Gardner at cornerback. Barrios from the previous season. That was the other thing. Like, who did Zach Wilson really have to throw to last year? What was it? Mims and Barrios. But now you add another wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. And Breece Hall is a running back, and of course Elijah Moore, right? So you have a lot of these guys. I got to see a little bit of them, and they looked really sharp. They were running some good plays. I always joke about the Jets that I'm sick of this run, first down run, second down run, third down pass, then kick it. No. You got to have confidence in Zach Wilson. Throw it on first down. Get your 7 or 8 yards. Run the ball. Let's do it, because you should have confidence. He's a good quarterback. And if he stays healthy this year, I think the Jets could be a good, great contender. It was devastating what happened with Mekhi Becton, which I know you were going to talk about. I'll get to it first, but it sucks. But at the same time, now I think they should sign Dwayne Brown without a doubt. Get that going. But yes, it's a loss, but at the same time, you have Dwayne Brown in which you could sign. The team, I'm always optimistic, but I think they did really well in the draft, and I'm truly excited about the season. Their first preseason game's on Friday. I freaking hate preseason. It's boring to me, but I will tune in only because I do want to see kind of the first half and these players in action, because there's a lot of new draft picks. They're a very young team. The one thing I think the Jets are really missing is just veteran players. They are young, they're growing, but I do think they're going to be competitive this year, and it's exciting. So I'm really glad I got the opportunity to go and see that.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, Mekhi Becton hurt his knee in practice, and it looks like it's a chip of his kneecap, which sounds like it's going to be a season-ending injury. So it's not another torn ACL, nothing to that effect, but it's a chip of the kneecap, which sounds really painful when you think about it. I mean, chipping a bone alone sounds painful. Chipping a kneecap sounds even more painful. I mean, that's like crazy to just think about that. I mean, just nuts. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to your preseason comment, I cannot watch preseason football as much as I love.
Did you ever with the Raiders?
I put it on the Jacksonville Raider game Thursday.
I knew you would.
It was at halftime, so I watched the halftime show a little bit. And then
it was a halftime show at a preseason game.
No, it was Maria Taylor and Dungy and I forget who else who's on the sidelines now, because Tirico and Collinsworth are the play-by-play and color person, as I have a bug flying around me here. But yeah, I just couldn't continue watching it. And then the replay was on NFL Network. I don't know what day or night. I just happened to just flip on NFL Network, and it was like the end of the game. And I just watched the end because I wanted to watch inside like training camp on NFL Network. But I just can't. I mean, these are guys that aren't even going to be in the NFL that are playing in these games. It's like watching the USFL again.
That's what I was going to. You put the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, would you rather watch a USFL game or an NFL preseason game?
Neither. I mean, I rather get hung by my toenails upside down. I mean, that's how painful it is to watch that stuff. I just can't do it. And I get like for you, a lot of young guys that are going to play, and maybe if the Raiders say Carr's going to play, a few series, and Adams and these guys are going to play a little bit, I'll tune into that. But after that, I just can't. I just can't watch it.
Who the Jets are playing Friday, by the way?
Who are they playing?
The Eagles.
Oh, my brother's.
He'll be watching. I know that.
No, he hates it too.
He hates it. I thought he's diehard Eagles. Like
preseason, he can't stand it because those guys are not. It's the same thing. They're just not going to play. Yeah. And it's just like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So it's just that whole thing. But but like I said, if your young players are going to play and guys
that's what I'm watching. I want to see young players.
Guys that are going to make an impact. You want to watch them a little bit.
Absolutely.
So that I get. But like Aaron Rodgers said, I think he said it yesterday, it doesn't make sense for him to play one series. He wants if he's going to play in a preseason game, he wants to play a quarter, or he wants to play 2 or 3 series. It doesn't make sense for him to suit up, to take 4 snaps, and then that's it. So, and I get it. He wants some rhythm as well. So it all coincides with everything. But it's exciting, man. We're real close to the NFL. We're real close to having some different shows on with us on the network, on the podcast, the Pigskin Podcast Network, and doing some shows with them and the DraftKings sponsorship and all this that's coming down the pipe as we get closer to football season. So a lot of exciting stuff. I know we're getting close here. I want to talk a little bit about what we saw today in Little League baseball, and I'll give the scenario and then hear some of your thoughts. So, pitcher Caden Shelton from Texas East, Little League World Series, 12 or 13-year-old kid, is pitching to Zay Jarvis, who's from Oklahoma, and the pitch gets away from Caden and hits Zay in the head
hard.
And he goes right down, and it looks very scary.
It was.
And if you ever played baseball, if you ever played, if you ever pitched or you ever got hit while, I mean, it's just a scary situation at any level. And it looked really bad. It looked scary. The good thing is Zay Jarvis gets up. He's fine. He goes to first base. While he's at first base, he takes his helmet. He's got the helmet off in his hand. And he starts walking towards the pitcher's mound, and I'm like, oh, what's this kid doing?
Right.
And guessing Caden was so overwhelmed with what happened, he was having a tough time on the mound. He was breaking down, crying because he was really scared that he hurt the guy, the young kid. This kid comes up to him and hugs him right on the mound and tells him, "You're doing great. Don't worry about it." And it was one of those moments in sports, and I talk about there's moments in sports that are unmatched. This is a moment in sports that is unmatched. It's one of those things that you're never going to find, to top, because it was a special moment in how sportsmanship and at that level where they're playing for the love of the game, and they're playing just because they want to play. And he felt so bad for Caden and wanted him to know that he was okay and everything's okay, and don't worry about it, and just hugged him on the mound. And to me, it was just one of those moments as a parent, as a human being, that just hit home for me, and it was just great. And I think it was so special. Mike, I want to hear what you were thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, our friend Steve, who was on the show, sent it to Vinny and I just, your first reaction when he was hit so hard, when he started walking from first base, you're thinking, because we see this all the time in Major League Baseball or even a collegiate level, that this guy's going to go after him, right? So just seeing that sportsmanship and just saying you're doing a great job, like, no matter if you're a sports fan or not, you should watch that clip, because it really, it's humanity. We all need to see this and all the crap going on in this world, that you watch that, and that's how it should be, exemplify how someone should behave, because that was awesome, right? Because pitchers, for the most part, I'm not saying it happens all the times, we've seen crazy stuff, but you're pitching at such a fast speed that there is room for error, right? And these things will happen.
Sure.
So what that person did was incredible. It was a great moment, and everybody who's listening right now, check that clip out for yourself. I don't care if you like sports or whatever. It's important that you see it.
Well, hopefully, if they're listening to our show, they like sports. If not, they just like our good looks.
Oh yeah, our good looks, and people ask me, did Vinny cry from that clip? I said no, but he cried harder when he saw Air Bud. And I think that
as much as you cried when Justin Bieber canceled his concert.
I know. I went nuts. I couldn't help myself.
This was
everybody. This is fun. This is why we do the show.
This was a real fun show.
This was a fun show. I told Vinny we were talking earlier this week, and just how proud we are in the 6 months, or a little over 6 months we've been on the air, and the guests that have been on, the content that we provide, and just talking sports every week and what's happened. We go back to when we started the show, that it was primetime NFL playoffs. We really got into that. And then obviously after that, with NFL playoffs, after that it's March Madness, and we got into March Madness, and that was a lot of fun, especially with the St. Peter's run. That was awesome.
Yeah. And
after that, you get into your baseball, right? And we had NBA, and we had everything going on with playoffs, and I mean, it's been so much fun. But we appreciate everyone listening every week, and really thankful for DraftKings for being our sponsor, and just all these great things. As Vinny said, the NFL Network, being in our network right now, the Pigskin Network, we're going to have some programs dedicated to a certain fan base, which is going to be really exciting in upcoming weeks. And then next week when I'm out, Viggy Betts comes on, and that's nice because you'll hear Vinny at the beginning of the show talk about Viggy Betts and what he does with that. He does a phenomenal job, so he'll be on for a full episode next week, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, me and Viggy did podcasts before podcasts were popular. That's 10 years ago. So a little reunion show this week coming up. But I want to really thank Lori Waran, who spent some time with us during a real busy week for her. They have the race there in Richmond this weekend. Actually, 2 races. Saturday night is the truck race, and then Sunday is the big cup race. And then tomorrow we're going to be back for another show. We're excited to have Kevin Bryant, who wrote a great book called Spies on the Sideline, which is going to dig into all the little spying that has gone on in the NFL over the years, and all the little intricacies of how teams get a little advantage, and a little bit more than Deflategate and all that other stuff that's gone on over the years. And we're gonna dive into that tomorrow, which should be a lot of fun to talk to him with that. But like Mike said, we thank you, the audience out there. Without you guys, we wouldn't have these opportunities that we do, and bringing in these guests and being able to be part of TPPN and DraftKings and all the other fun stuff. But yeah, it's been great. Look forward to tomorrow. And Mike, we'll talk tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow, Vinny.
All right.
Till then.